Sunday show with me, StattoJoe, and as always, I am joined by Luke Sherwin. Hello, Luke.
Hello, Joe. I am here, and it is delightful.
Nice. We changed up the intro today. We made an exception. You do love to see it. Yeah, so as the title says, we've got a lot to talk about, but our main talking points today are going to all be about Man City, Chelsea, and will Liverpool reach top four? Now, I do need to mention one thing before we properly begin, and that is the Sunday show is a phone-in show. So if you check the chat, you should see a link. That link will allow you to join. I'll just display it very quickly. This link will allow you to join us in the waiting room. Come on, if you have any questions for us or you want to chat about any of this weekend's football, then be sure to click that link, join us, chat to us, all that good stuff. We would love to have you on. But there's only one place to start, really, and that's with yesterday's Champions League warm-up. Look, chat us through Man City 1, Chelsea 2.
Well, Joe, the main talking point about Man City 1, Chelsea 2 is that it's Thomas 2 show, Pep
Oh,
Guardiola. Pep
right.
Guardiola.
So poor.
There
So
we go.
bad.
It's 2-0 to Thomas Tuchel in head-to-head competition against Pep Guardiola since he's joined
Oh,
Chelsea. Since there's been a Manchester and City rivalry, or a Manchester and Chelsea rivalry, it's 2-0 to Thomas Tuchel in the FA Cup semi-final, now in the Premier League. And the big talking point is, will that stay the same when it comes to the Champions League final?
mm,
The most important game, arguably, of all of those. Pep didn't care that much about the FA Cup. He still wanted to win it, obviously, but it's not the end of the world. League-wise, it's all but wrapped up, so it doesn't matter too much. But Champions League is the big one. Champions League is massive. And so before even talking about the game, Joe, do you think that this plays any part in the Champions League final? Do you think this 2-0 lead counts, or do you think it's purely media speculation?
well, I think that yesterday neither manager wanted to do anything. They didn't want to show anything. They didn't play their strongest teams. Um, and that came across. Now, what I do think and what I agree heavily with is that coming into this final, Man City are under a heck of a lot more pressure than Chelsea are. They've never won the Champions League. Guardiola was brought in, I would say, to win them the Champions League. Obviously, win other trophies. It wasn't just to win the Champions League. But he was brought in to win the Champions League. If they lose, which they could, then that's another failure in the Champions League. So that'll be really interesting. Um, as for yesterday, I do think there's a bit of a psychological advantage there with Tuchel being 2-0 up. I do think it makes a massive difference, especially because Guardiola's never beaten them. And they've played well in this kind of setup, and they've played twice now in the last 3 months, if even. So it's going to be interesting to see. It was a weird game, though, wasn't it? It really was quite strange.
It was an odd game because, as you noted earlier, neither team really played full strength, which was interesting. They played semi full strength. It wasn't completely rotated. From a Man City standpoint, there's a lot of good players still on the pitch. Like every player out there is still really, really good and still decently experienced. Just a few interesting choices, but the main talking point from a Man City perspective is the formation change.
Hmm.
They played with a 3/5 at the back. People would say they're exactly the same, and I would agree. They're one and the same, really. Except with pushing on fullbacks, you would argue it's more of a three. You start Ruben Diaz, you start Nathan Ake, and he is Eric Laporte at the back. All three of them are playing with Mendy and Cancelo. So you've got a really good defensive line. Then in midfield, it was a bit random because they had Rodri, Ferran Torres, and Sterling kind of
Mm-hmm.
as their middle-ish players with Aguero and Jesus up top. He's played both Jesus and Aguero in a few games, not well against West Brom there recently. He did exactly the same, but with a 4-4-2. And in this game, it was an interesting choice. I thought Rodri made sense, but Ferran Torres and Sterling to play kind of creatively in the middle, bit strange. So that was an interesting one. Do you think it worked?
I don't. I mean, I feel like he didn't really care if it worked or not. I thought it was overall scrappy from City. Arguably, Sterling should have been sent off early on. I did not like that challenge myself. I think it was one of those ones again, like the share one last week. If it had been a red, it wouldn't have been overturned for a yellow, and I think it was a yellow and it wasn't overturned for a red. It was one of those. It was right in the middle. I think
Yeah,
directly in
absolutely.
between. Aguero doesn't really seem the same player, and I'm not just talking about the penalty. His touch that led to Sterling's goal was so uncharacteristic of him, and Jesus was a bit of a passenger of times. He gave the ball away very easily, multiple times. In fact, he gave away the ball. I think did it lead to a Chelsea goal or did it lead to a Chelsea chance? I can't remember now. I just remember. Oh no, it was a chance. He just gave away the ball very very early on. But
Yeah,
that is not the team you're going to see the Champions League final. Like
it's not.
It's City had made like a fair. Was it nine? Was it nine changes? I think Chelsea had made a fair few changes. Um, but yeah, like just it was actually for what the teams were still a decent game. It was essentially your two second, not fully second string teams, but essentially that was kind of the case. I actually
Yeah.
thought Werner played okay. He's just a bit lazy, and that's maybe his main problem. Do you think?
Um, yeah, potentially. Before I touch on Werner, I'll just say with the Man City team, I think they were the better team, arguably in the first half.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
think they should have been two, if not, yeah, 2-0 up at halftime. They should have been. Um, I feel it for Aguero because I feel like at this stage, you mentioned obviously Jesus looking at a passenger, but
Hmm.
speaking of passenger, I think it's the case of you only know you love him when you let him go. Aguero, whenever he goes, whenever Aguero goes, I think the City fans will rightfully appreciate him for everything that he is. But right now, he's not a world class striker like he used to be. And so they do need to let him go, in which he obviously is. But yesterday, yeah, you're right. He looks sluggish. Man City, solid, fair enough. Like they did really well in the first half. They did everything they needed to do. They made decent enough chances. It was grand. Um, yeah, it was experimental. There, Josh has said that it was an experimental side. And I think you're right. He wanted to
Hmm.
see how that formation would work against what he knows Tuchel is going to play. Tuchel is always going to play this system in the Champions League final. And so why not test out a formation that he hasn't used already to see if it does any better? And based on that first half performance, I would arguably start with this in the first half of the Champions League, play that way, and then switch it at half time, bring
Hmm.
back the false nine and whatnot. But you would just have to use slightly different players to make that work. From a Chelsea perspective, you mentioned Werner. I didn't think he had a great game personally. I thought he just wasn't quite with the races at the races. Billy Gilmore starting was lovely. Love
Hmm.
that. Really like Billy Gilmore, but he had a bad game. He didn't do what Jorginho normally does in kind of make the link between defense and attack. He was a little bit lacking alongside Kante. I really like him and he's got a massive future in the game, but I think yesterday he was lacking a little bit. And Christensen had a really bad game yesterday. He
Yeah.
did
Yeah.
not
Sure.
play. It pains me to say I love the Danes. I love everything about Denmark, but I thought he was terrible. So yeah, it was an interesting clash of heads. Very similar systems, but City did it in the first half, but then Chelsea came out in the second half and played a lot better.
And that is reflected in the stats. Certainly going through them. If I was to look at the overall picture from a stats point of view, they look relatively even. Um, from an overall game point of view, City kind of edging a lot of the main kind of big stats in inverted commas. Um, but certainly from a half by half breakdown point of view, the first half was kind of City's. They had a bit more possession than Chelsea, edged, had more shots. Chelsea only managed one shot on target in the first half. Obviously, that doesn't include any disallowed goals or anything like that. Chelsea didn't have any corners. City had four. and obviously they missed their one big chance that they missed was Aguero's penalty, which you have to say was it looks good when you get it right, but when you don't get it right, you look an absolute twit. And Mendy really should be commended for not committing, but it was a silly decision. Let's put it that way.
It's a really frustrating one from a Man City perspective because you see those happen so many times, and 9 to 10 they go in,
Mm-hmm.
and it's fine because the keeper does commit. But in this case, he probably should have noticed that the keeper wasn't going, and then just slid into the right hand side, and he would have scored. Nobody would have talked about it. But yeah, he chips it down the middle, and Mendy manages to regroup quick enough because he has dived, but he didn't go very
Mm-hmm.
far. He gets up and just casually with his left hand, not even two hands, just his left hand catches the ball.
Totally mugs him off.
He absolutely does. It was ballsy from him, and I loved it. But I do feel for Aguero there because, if that goes in, then everyone's like, "Wow, Aguero, he's back. He's unbelievable." But in this case, it just didn't quite go for him.
And it's funny because I don't remember ever in a Premier League season there being a missed Panenka, and now this is the second one that we've had this season because, of course, both of which have had serious ramifications for the team because Lookman missed like a last minute penalty for Fulham. I think, and that was it a win or a draw? Was it to win? I think it was to
I think,
win,
I
and
think it
they
was
drew with
good.
West Ham. And then Aguero's missed a penalty today, and ultimately City have lost. Uh, there's a combination of things, and we will get into those things that have maybe led to their defeat because I do think they were very unfortunate to not get a second penalty. But anyway, we'll look at the stats first, and then we'll dive into the overall story of the match. So that first half was really City's, as you said, Luke, earlier on. They played really well, um, and they looked good. And Christensen came off at half time because Thomas Tuchel was not having it. They brought on Zuma, and the second half was completely different. Chelsea had 60% possession to City's 40. City still had more shots, but only managed one shot on target. They had 9 shots, 1 on target. Chelsea had 6 shots and 4 on target, which is what you do love to see, really, is that kind of level from shots on target to shots, even corners. But Chelsea had one big chance. They missed it, but also did score. They scored. The first goal was good. The second goal was entirely fortunate in terms of hitting off both legs. Both teams managed great passing accuracies, both in the 90s. Oh my goodness. That is. I need to calm down a wee second here.
It's
That's
delightful viewing. It really is. It's
you
great.
do love to see it. You really do. And yeah, that was kind of overall story. Is there a Luke Sherwin man of the match for this game?
Luke Sherwin man of the match for this game probably just has to go to Hakim Ziyech. I think the way he took his goal was great. Like everything about that goal is really really nice. It's a lovely goal to watch over and over again from a neutral standpoint, especially getting them back into the game, which is massive. To have the composure to be able to do that at that time to get them level was great for them. Obviously, as you mentioned, they went on to win thanks to a fortunate goal. But I thought Hakim Ziyech played a really solid game of football. So fair play to him.
So you're saying, so what you're saying is that Hakim Ziyech could do it on a wet and windy night at Stoke City.
I'm saying Hakim Ziyech could do it on a cool, wet Tuesday night at Stoke. Fair play to the lad.
What praise! What praise! Andy there very cheekily has suggested. No, I don't know which shot he's referring to. I hope he's referring to the Ziyech shot. He said that one of the shots, whether that's Aguero, whether that's Alonso, or whether that's Ziyech, was a Luke Sherwin shot. Now, for people who know Luke Sherwin, you can decide for yourself which one that's referring to.
Well, no,
I
not just people that know me, but people that have actually played football with me. I'll respect them. If they
true.
just know me and are making assumptions, then no. But Joe, I think looking at those second half statistics, 9 shots, 1 on target for Man City just isn't quite good enough.
Mm-hmm.
It's poor. They are playing with arguably 2 really good strikers on the pitch of Aguero and Gabriel Jesus. Gabriel Jesus, I don't think managed a single shot on target in the game. He had 1 shot off target and 2 blocked. And for a player like Gabriel Jesus, you maybe are seeing why Pep Guardiola doesn't trust him to be a starting number 9. Aguero
Mm.
managed 2 shots on target, one of which was the penalty. And so you're playing a system with 2 strikers and you're managing 1 shot on target for that. Oof, if I'm a Man City fan, I'm concerned about that. And it's not like playing Kevin De Bruyne false 9 is really going to improve that
Yeah.
accuracy, because his accuracy this season has been really bad.
What concerns me more actually is Jesus's like satisfaction with being a second string striker. Like whenever he came in, people were like, "Oh, this guy's going to be," he will learn under Aguero and then kind of take over, right? He'll progress, he'll advance his game. He just seems content now to take the money and just play. And that I've heard debates about now that Neymar signed a new contract with PSG. Is there a different mindset with the Brazilian players in terms of, is it about just being as getting them as much money as possible rather than going to clubs for a challenge or for game time or success? I just think it is strange that he just could do well at could like if he went to a club that was at a Europa League level, he could maybe do something and then maybe get better and better and then go back to the top team. I just think you're kind of wasting your career by sitting on the bench at City, and then when you come on, you're not playing well. That's
Yeah,
kind
I
of a
think
worry for me.
he probably could do a job if he went to a Spanish team, the likes of your
Mm.
Villarreal. Although I hope he doesn't go to Villarreal because of Alcacer. I feel like he would be harshly done by in that case, and Moreno as well. But you know what I mean? That type of club in Spain, I think he would probably be better in that. I think you're absolutely right there, Josh, saying that they won't be starting. I think Kevin De Bruyne starts as a false 9 for them, as he has done in important Champions League games.
Mm.
Um, it's it's an interesting one because he obviously knows Aguero isn't fit and isn't the same player he was, and he knows Jesus just can't quite cut it. But yeah, I feel for Man City fans in a way, but also I don't at all because they have enough money that they could just go out and buy one if they want. So
Yeah, and that's it. But then with City losing, that meant the title party was delayed by another week. United fans all of a sudden they're going, "We can do it. We can win the league." No, I am only joking. I haven't heard a single United fan say that once. But it does mean that the Premier League title could be won at St James's Park next week whenever City travel to Newcastle, which would be the first time since the 70s, I believe, that the league title has been won at St James's Park. The Premier League title, that is, will not include the Championship because Newcastle have done that twice, and for that to be the only trophy that
I
they've
do
won.
think City have wanted to do that. I think all
Yeah,
season they've hoped we'll wrap it up here in game number 36 or
yeah.
35. We'll or 30 yeah 36. We'll get it wrapped up at St James's Park because there's
Mm,
nothing more prestigious,
no.
And
And I thank them. I thank them for
Pep will be sitting there saying, "I will love it if we beat them. Love it."
that.
As
Yeah.
they go to St James's Park next week. So
So that'll be interesting to see what happens. But with that, then what we did see was Manchester United beat Aston Villa today, 3-1, with a classic Manchester United performance of let's not show up until after half time. How about let's play poorly in the first half? To be fair, Traore scored a screamer. Like, that was a great goal. And then uh, in the second half, let's just go out and let's get a penalty. Let's get a red card for the other team and let Cavani score. And so it was United by numbers really today, wasn't it?
routine, absolutely routine. If any of you out there have any thoughts about it, feel free to join us on stream. We're doing a lovely phone in if you want to hear. If you want us to hear your thoughts and to get them out to the millions listening around the world, click on those links in the chat. But it was United through and through today. It was absolutely trademark from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. It was we will start the game. We'll probably not show up for the first 10 minutes, and then Bruno Fernandes will get a penalty, his 21st or something of the season, which
Mm-hmm.
is mad. And then Greenwood will score. So he did really well to block Tyrone Mings. But if I'm
Mm-hmm.
Tyrone Mings, I'm annoyed at myself.
Shot
Terrible
on defending.
defending. Really
Shot on
bad
defending.
defending. If I'm any other Villa player, I'm looking, that's Tyrone Mings, our best centre back. and he's completely stood off. I get why, because penalties in this game are so flippant, but really poor defending. And then Cavani's goal was just trademark Cavani.
Mm.
But yeah, fair play to United. They got the job done. I didn't expect any less, to be fair. Villa haven't looked the same team without Grealish. I think he's been a big loss. They've been decent enough at times. Like, what was it last weekend? The game against Everton, I thought they'd be really good. They played really well. And then, yeah, they cap off their poor performance with Ollie Watkins going and getting sent off for a second yellow for a dive. So
And
that was.
then he was complaining about it, and I was like, and then he was like having a go at Dean Henderson, and I was like, why? What? Like, why are you having a go at Dean Henderson? Dean Henderson didn't touch you. You've gone
Yeah.
down. Maybe he forgot he was on a yellow card. Surely you can't be so silly as to think I'll get away with this, especially with VAR. There's no way you're getting away with it. There's no way. It's just not happening.
I think it's one of those ones, though, where I don't know if he dived. He went down with no contact, yes. But I don't know if he was looking for anything. I think in the back of the mind he was maybe hopeful that something was to happen. But I genuinely think he just kind of went down naturally. And so I do think it was a little bit harsh, but yeah, then the way he got on about it afterwards probably wasn't good for him.
just a silly red card. I mean, the only upside is it was 2 yellows, so he misses 1 game. But just silly decision making. And yes, Villa are, even without Grealish, are a better team than they were last season. When they just about stayed up. I mean, they only stayed up because of a faulty goal line technology decision at the end of the day. So, yeah, I think they're definitely a better team. I've heard apparently that Grealish has shin splints, so apparently the reason that he's never going to play many games this season, apparently because he struggles with it, and that's why he's currently out at the minute. So I don't know if anyone would actually want to sign him then, because if you have a player like that in your squad, is it worth it? For Villa, perfect. If he plays half a season and he has saved you from relegation, then, but I don't know.
To be fair, there's two teams in the Premier League that works with, and it's Man City and Chelsea, because they both have squads deep enough that you don't need to play that many games, especially in a normal season where games aren't as thick and fast as they are this season.
Yeah,
And
true.
what is a hectic schedule. But you look at Man City squad, Kevin De Bruyne didn't play today, Phil Foden didn't play today. You can rest players. You've got the likes of Mahrez, Bernardo Silva, Foden, Sterling, Ferran Torres. There's so many wingers. If you brought in Jack Grealish, he could play every other game. He could play once every 3 games if he needed to. And the same with Chelsea, with Pulisic, Ziyech, Werner, Mount, Hudson-Odoi, all these other Tammy Abraham and all the likes. So he could do a job there, but I don't think that they're looking to sign him, to be fair, because he'll be expensive. Again, as we've touched on before, City rarely go for players that most people are kind of going after. They kind of go after players under the radar a little bit. But yeah, that leaves the Premier League table looking interesting. City have pretty much wrapped up, the league. The game the game of United Liverpool on Thursday night decides that effectively, and maybe will give some United fans hope. But City will obviously win the league. But that puts an interesting place for Chelsea, having beaten Man City, because they moved up to 3rd, with Leicester dropping down to 4th. We'll just briefly touch on Leicester.
Let's not make it brief. Let's draw this out as long as we can.
Absolutely. Let's briefly touch on Leicester, because I wouldn't like you to get too big-headed, Joe. But Leicester and Newcastle played a game of football on Friday night, and Newcastle scored 4 goals before Leicester scored a single goal. How on earth has that happened, Joe?
I have said time and time again, we are playing a far better style of football since international break. I don't think I ever thought we'd score 4 against Leicester. I did say, was it in the podcast? Maybe it was in the main show, that because Newcastle play on Friday, I would have had time to recover from losing 6-0 to Leicester. But Newcastle were the better. In fact, it should have been 5. So Maximan missed an absolute sitter. And watching that game, it was just so good. It was honestly so refreshing to watch. And We are playing a far better style of football, attacking wise. We don't sit deep the same way that we used to. We actually were pressing them, and also part of it as well. Leicester's line was disgustingly high. Like, what I mean, it was silly. It was nonsense. But Joe the Pillock Willock scoring again. That's his. Was it fifth? Wait, fifth? Yeah, his fifth. He's actually the Arsenal player to score the most goals since he left the club in February. So that's a good stat for everyone out there. And I think he's the first person for Newcastle to score in 4 games in a row since Papi Cisse in 2012. So we do love ourselves, Joe Willock. Callum Wilson scoring 2 as well. What a signing that's turned out to be. He has only got 12 in the Premier League, but he was injured for a lot of that. And he does seem to love to score 2 in a single game. Very rarely does he only score 1. He likes to get 2, but I can't. We're pretty much say. I mean, it's like if I was Gareth right now, I'd be saying if we do go down, I'll get Leicester tattooed in my body somewhere. I'm not confident that we won't go down. I think we're fine. Fulham play tomorrow night, and that's if they don't win, that's the relegation zone sorted because West Brom are currently losing 2-0 to Arsenal.
Yeah, they've done an absolute Steve Bruce masterclass in having 32% possession in the game and scoring 4 goals with only 6 shots on target. Fair play to Newcastle. Clinical, some would describe it as, and that's without Andy Carroll and Dwight Gale starting. So that's a strange one. But the main issue you'll find, obviously, for Leicester was that Johnny Evans didn't play. So Soyuncu had a really bad game. Just didn't read it at all. Did not read the game well. Didn't look like he was playing the game, really. He was a passenger. Kasper Schmeichel had a bad game. Castagne, I think, had his first proper bad game for Leicester.
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't had that many shockers, but I thought in this, especially for Callum Wilson's goal, he looked really just out of sorts.
Yep.
He was gone past. Callum Wilson obviously had the pace. He's a quick player. And yeah, it was just poor from Leicester defensively. Iheanacho scored. That was good. Jamie Vardy had a solid enough game. James Maddison had a solid enough game. But I think that's potentially inflated by the fact that they managed to get 2 back. Had it been 4-0, then yeah, Leicester would have just looked really bad on the night.
I was actually really, really nervous. I was like, surely there's no way we're going to lose a 4-0. Like we're going to draw 4-4. I thought we were. Only once in history has a team been 4-0 up, not won the game. And that was when Arsenal were 4-0 up at half-time and Newcastle came back to draw the game 4-4. All these facts, all these stats, it all leads back to Newcastle upon time. So speaking of Leicester are doing their annual bottle job, which let me put it this way. Brendan Rodgers is doing his standard annual bottle job, which is sad to see.
Are you trying to tell me that him winning the league in Celtic basically is just an anomaly because you can't bottle the league when you're Celtic manager? Are you trying to tell me that he normally bottles everything and that he shouldn't be praised that much? No, I'm joking. I think he's a good manager, but I'm concerned by how much he bottles it. With Liverpool, obviously you look at the players and you blame them. With Steven Gerrard falling over, Steven Gerrard, an average Liverpool player that never really got going, so fair enough. But with Leicester these last 2 seasons, it's been concerning how comfortable they seem to have been, and then they haven't managed to get top 4 last season, and this season it looks, in my eyes, like they're not going to because they've got really difficult games.
It's like you get to the final boss in the game and you're all sorted and you're fine, right? But then you play it really, really defensively and nervously, and then you die. This is exactly what Leicester have. All Leicester are there. They've got everything they need. They've got all the tools. They should easily beat the final boss. But no, they're going to cave.
Yeah, well, now for them, their final boss looks like United, then Chelsea.
Deserves so.
Potentially, but potentially not. United, then Chelsea.
Mm-hmm.
We don't really lose, and then Tottenham. Those are difficult games, and so it kind of it makes you wonder who is going to finish in the top four. Are Leicester going to finish in the top four, or will West Ham or Liverpool sneak in?
And that's the second big topic of today's show. It's all about will Liverpool reach top four. Now, Josh is a Liverpool fan himself, so there's disgusting bias here, but no, we're joking. He says he'll go down to the final day of the season between Liverpool and Leicester on the final day for fourth place. Leicester will lose against United and Chelsea, which sends it to the final day. I'm not going to disagree with you. I think that is a big possibility. The only thing I think that works in Leicester's favour is that they play United on Tuesday, which is essentially the game that, because United won today and they've secured Champions League, they don't need to worry about. With West Ham losing, they secured Champions League, and so they don't need to. They could rest players on Tuesday for the game against Liverpool on Thursday, and so Leicester might get some sort of result.
But why at this stage? Why would they? Because the Liverpool game effectively doesn't mean anything if they lose against Leicester, because then City will have won the league if they lose against Leicester, and so there's a weird balance here of neither game really means anything for United realistically. So why not play your full strength team on against Leicester on Tuesday night, and then try and just play as full strength as you can on Thursday night and try and win them both? Like, if United, the only thing United can do in the Premier League now is win all four of their games and hope that Man City draw two and lose two, and that United score enough goals to overtake the goal difference. So from a United standpoint, it's actually quite difficult. Liverpool have an easier run in, absolutely. They play United and then they play West Brom, which is a guaranteed win. They play Burnley, which is probably a guaranteed win, and then they play Crystal Palace, who have absolutely nothing to play for on the final day. So you probably are backing Liverpool in the run-in.
Yeah, I think
even if Liverpool lose against United or get a draw or something, they'll have enough games realistically to overtake. But that in itself is kind of, if they were to lose against United, then that means West Ham are probably still in it. Because then West Ham are still technically above them. And West Ham's run-in looks like Brighton, which isn't an easy game, but Brighton fell apart today. Then West Brom, which they should win. And then Southampton, who have nothing really to play for effectively. So West Ham and Liverpool have the easier run-ins. But will Leicester be able to hold on? I'm not sure.
I'd honestly would be. Part of me would genuinely be gutted if Leicester bottled it, because I just feel sorry for them or something. Like they seriously don't have any right to have been challenging for top four for 2 seasons in a row, right? They don't like. Let's just categorically say right now that even being there is a massive achievement, right? So fair play, because they don't have any right to be there. But it is becoming more and more realistic that actually Liverpool will manage to pull out of the bag. I will, however, find it quite funny if they don't by like a point, and that will all be because of Newcastle's 95th minute equaliser. And I will laugh for weeks and weeks, and I'll hold up my Newcastle shirt with pride, and I'll be like, ha ha ha, we prevented you from getting to the Champions League, and I'll be like, yes, let's go. Let's go.
In a hilarious turn of events, if somehow Everton managed to overtake Liverpool, which isn't entirely out of the realm of possibility, they're only 2 points behind, Jordan Pickford will be hailed as an Everton hero for injuring Virgil van Dijk.
He's the best keeper ever.
Don't get me started. We'll maybe chat about that in the future at some stage by England squads, but Jordan Pickford will probably get a statue outside Goodison Park because he's the man that injured Virgil van Dijk and potentially allowed them to finish above Liverpool. But I do think it's realistic for Liverpool to get it. I reckon that it'll be a draw on Thursday night, which will take them above West Ham. So then they'll be sitting in fifth, and then 5 points in it with 3 games to go. I don't know how many. I don't think Leicester get any points against Chelsea. I don't
Nope.
think they'll get any points against United. They might get a draw against United. Like, I reckon they'll beat Tottenham though. I could see them beating Tottenham, and if they were to beat
Same.
Tottenham and get a point, then that would be 67. Liverpool would just then need to win all three of their games and hope to get a better goal difference. It's exciting. It's nice. I like a final day that has something to play for. Here's
Mm-hmm.
hoping United do win a couple of games and then City lose two theirs, and then it comes down to the final day as well. Like that would be
See,
exciting too.
see if Newcastle beat City again. Oh my goodness! It would just be like it would be. Oh, the United fans really will be go like, oh, we could actually do this. Like we might actually get it. But
Exactly.
no, I think I last week was it last week that you'd asked me about top four, and I had said it'll just be the top four that are there currently. No, I'm not so sure. I'm really not. You would have thought that Leicester should have won on Friday night, but they didn't. They have the FA Cup final this week, so actually they might end up resting players on Tuesday. So, but they might not. Like this is the thing. They've every game is now a cup final for Leicester. Every single game is a cup final. Like they have to win. So, but then last night, then Liverpool beat Southampton 2-0, and I have I will happily publicly say, and I've said it in the intro of the podcast, and I'll say it now as well, that sometimes Liverpool fans have a tendency to make things seem so much better than they actually are, right? And last night, it was as if they had won the Champions League, or like Thiago scored, it was like, oh, Thiago, oh, like this. And I was going, honestly, it is not that big a deal. Let me just tell you straight out that Southampton have won three of their last 21 games. Three of their last 21. That's like Sheffield United form. So, I mean, did you see any of the game last night? Because I watched Match of the Day for highlights. And
Yeah, I
the
watched.
highlight,
I watched most of the game. I watched most of the game and saw like all the main points. Saw both goals. Um, everything. I think I only missed maybe the first 10 minutes of the game or something like that. Mane's goal was really well taken. It's nice to see him score a goal. Obviously, it wasn't with his feet because he's technically terrible, but yeah, I was happy for him to score in some manner. He's obviously a really good player, but
mm,
confidence at the moment is very low. But yeah, Southampton didn't really look like doing anything at any point, and the only time Southampton looked like scoring a goal was whenever Allison handed it to them. Whenever Allison directly gave it straight to them, or whenever there was a Liverpool mistake. Other than that, Southampton didn't look like doing anything. Che Adams had a great opportunity because Allison gave it to him, and then
mm,
man, they went to the end of the pitch and scored. So that was good. Thiago coming on and scoring, yeah, fair play to him. He scored a goal finally. When you cost that much money, and whenever you're heralded as one of the world's best central midfielders, you can't be getting excited about him scoring a goal against a really average Southampton team at this stage in the season. He should have done it ages ago. The fact that he hadn't is really, really poor. Liverpool fans, if I were you, I'd be concerned still. I don't think you should be loving life because yes, Van Dijk's injured. Yes, Joe Gomez is injured. And yes, Phillips and Williams did well last night to keep a clean sheet. Happy days. But going forward, you still look so lackluster in everything that happens. With my housemates are Liverpool fans, and so I've watched a lot of Liverpool football this year, and I've hated every single second of it. It is so boring. It is so boring to watch because they'll pass it around for a bit, and then Mane will miss kick it, or they'll pass it around for a bit, and then Salah will make a mistake as well. Diogo Jota coming back has been fantastic.
mm.
He's a really good direct player. Part of me would love to see him and the Ox play together because they're both ridiculously direct. I would love to see what would happen in that case. Um, but yeah, Liverpool need to just keep getting results, even if they're not pretty. I need to stop watching Liverpool games because they're making me unhappy. But they probably will get top four. It's a very important thing. Um, although if they don't, I think they could win the Europa League next season, which wouldn't be a bad thing.
Mm. What's crazy to me is that Salah has scored 20 Premier League goals, and yet I have never seen someone miss so many chances and score that many goals in my life. He frustrates me, and he plays for Liverpool, so like I really shouldn't care. But like I don't get it. How can I just nah? I don't understand how he can miss so many chances and then score chances he got no right to score. This is why he confuses me so much because he scores goals that no one else can score and misses any any shot that he'd be expected to score. Like it's like a riddle that isn't supposed to be solved.
But
Um,
arguably, he will go down as one of the greatest ever Premier League wingers
yeah, I
because
know.
of his stats, and I think he deserves to. I think on his day, he is unplayable. He's a great player, and I'm a big fan. The stats back it. You know, he's
Yeah.
what top five of most goals scored in 150 games in the Premier League, and he's doing it all from a wing position.
Mhm.
Do you know, he's cutting in, and it's fantastic. But yeah, he does miss a lot of chances. Andy, my housemate, will always say that. He's like, I'm a Liverpool fan, but I'm really frustrated by how Mo Salah continually misses every opportunity that he gets.
Mhm.
And then he'll score a worldie and he'll get the pushcast for a goal that shouldn't have won the pushcast. But that's a whole nother debate. But Liverpool, they're starting to look a bit more coherent, but coherent in a boring manner. And
Mm.
I'm happy that the only boring manner I ever watch is Downton Abbey. So let's just keep Liverpool off my TV now.
Oh, the jokes are coming thick and fast today. I am in pain. Um, Josh has a couple of points here. Liverpool fan. He says first thing he says is I think Champions League football is extremely important for Liverpool as six times winners, which I didn't even know they'd won it six times. I have never heard a Liverpool fan say that before in my life. Every win we get to the end of the season, we will overreact. Lol. Fair enough. And like I know this. If you listen to the podcast version, it does sound like I'm constantly having a go at Liverpool. I don't mean to. They just sometimes do my head in, right? You got me on a bad day. You got me on a bad day. Okay, that's all I can say. He also says Salah can still win the Golden Boot in an off season for Liverpool. That should be scary for other clubs looking at Liverpool next season. And I'm going to be flippant and I'm going to say, unfortunately, Josh, Liverpool don't scare me for next season because they've proven that unless they're at full fitness and full strength, they are nowhere near the side that they usually are. And you cannot guarantee that everybody's going to be fit next season. I get it that theoretically they should be at full fitness next season. However, because they've looked like such a different team without one or two players at times, for me, it's difficult to be like. I'll tell you who I'm scared of. Man City. I'm absolutely terrified of Man City. Their second team beats most first teams in the Premier League. Liverpool's second team is nowhere near it, and I think that's the big difference.
I'm
Yes,
terrified of
Liverpool's.
Chelsea as well under Thomas Tuchel. Like that's a scarier side right now than any Liverpool side because not only are they scoring goals, but they're defending really well, and they've got a lot of players that can swap in and swap out. And so Liverpool don't scare me that much because their squad depth just isn't good enough at the moment. You lose your two main centre backs, yes. If that happens to Man City, they lose Diaz and Stones. You have Aymeric Laporte and Nathan Ake to put in there, two experienced enough centre backs. That's the difference of why I'm scared of Man City and I'm not scared of Liverpool.
It's like I'm not scared of Man United, even though United are second and United are unbeaten away from home this season. For some reason, I still think we could maybe get a result against them. City, no way. I would never ever because I'm like whatever team they put out, like even the team they put out against Chelsea was a majority second string team, and I look at that side and I'm going, well, Newcastle wouldn't beat that, no way. Liverpool, when they have their full strength team, are exceptional, and I want to be clear. When Liverpool have a full strength first 11, oh my days, the football they play is like it's so beautiful to watch, and they're a fantastic team at full strength. However, they're one of those teams that, unless they're at full strength, they're just nowhere near the same level of threat. Now, I would say they showed a good manner of professionalism yesterday in getting that game and winning that game and kind of being very professional about their business and how they went through that game and handled Southampton. Um, and fair play to them. Absolutely. They did well. And it was kind of reminding me of when they won the league, they did go 1-0 down quite a lot and they managed to bring it back for a 2-1. And so they were very good at that. But like, nah, I'm sorry. Just like Salah's doing well in an off season, I don't think is scary for other clubs because other clubs know that, you know, you know, it's like Harry Kane has got the most goals and assists this season, and Spurs have been crap. So, like, that's really all I have to say. That's really all I have to say
Yeah.
about it.
I think this season again has been weird though, all things considered.
Yeah.
Like Bruno Fernandes is third in the charts. And like how many of those have been penalties? Like this season the golden boot doesn't mean as much because it's been a really strange season. Harry Kane and Son are two players in the top three again. So Fernandes and Son are drawing. But between them they have 38 goals, Son and Kane, and they're seventh in the Premier League and have never looked good since January,
Yeah.
The golden boot is a weird one this year because there's a lot of goals going in and a lot of penalties being given and things like that. So yeah, Liverpool don't scare me that much. I really struggle to sympathise with Liverpool at the moment because as a Stoke fan, we've all season we've had at least 10 of our first team players injured. Like it's ridiculous. But Stoke fans don't make the same fuss about it because we appreciate that that's football and that we're not like owed anything. Yesterday we played Bournemouth. We had 8 youth players on the bench. One of our centre backs was having his debut, and 11 first team players were injured, and we won 2-0. Like we were buzzing because we won 2-0. It meant nothing, and we've been so average since after the 17th game of the season when we were sitting in second. Injuries happen in football, and yes, it makes a big difference, but it's part of the game. It happens at all levels: Premier League, Championship, League One, and League Two, and below. Below's even worse. But Liverpool fans need to grow a set and just get over it because that's what happens in football. You don't see Stoke fans outraged and saying, "Oh, we would have won the Championship had we had all our players." We're realistic in saying we've been bad this season because of injuries. We go again next season.
It's also okay to be bad in a season because of injuries. It is like genuinely. It's actually a good way to be like, okay, well, this season's a bit of a write-off actually because we were really unlucky with injuries. The fact that you're even close to Champions League qualification and yet you've played so poorly should not be, like if Liverpool don't get Champions League places, there shouldn't be complaints because the way they've been playing this season, they've had almost no right to be where they are. Like it's like Spurs fans that like they accept they were crap for the majority of the season, and so they're like, yeah, well, we don't deserve Champions League. If Leicester don't get Champions League, they'll probably recognise that they bottled it and were overachieving. It's things like that. But look, that's kind of how things are at the minute. I think tomorrow night will probably confirm that West Brom and Fulham will also be going down. I'm pretty sure Arsenal are winning 2-1.
3-1 now. Williams just scored apparently a cracker.
Who, sorry?
William.
Oh, wow, Williams scored a goal.
I know, that's how bad West Brom are.
So West Brom are going down tonight, confirmed. Fulham need to win tomorrow. But that's pretty much the Premier League. Like, there's nothing else to play for apart from Champions League places.
Yeah, there were a lot of other games this weekend. Like Leeds beat Tottenham. Fair play to them. Leeds at the moment are just trying to push on. If you listen to the podcast, bonus content, you'll see that I maybe don't like Leeds. And maybe address that in the intro. So feel free to check us out in Spotify, Google Podcasts, or Apple Podcasts. But yeah, Leeds beat Tottenham in a very professional job. They just did everything well. Tottenham should feel harshly done by for the Harry Kane offside. Really harsh. Like that's an Arsenal level of harsh decision. VAR hopefully will be addressed in the summer. I think it needs to be. Yes, it's making some right decisions, but it's crap at times, which is really annoying. But yeah, so Leeds did a professional job there. Wolves managed to win today against Brighton, despite the fact that they were 1-0 down. Brighton looked solid. Dunk got sent off for a silly challenge, and then Adama Traore pulled off his one good moment of the season. I will clarify, he's played 34 games this season, scored 2 goals and got 2 assists. He is the most overhyped player in all of world football, and I will not hear any differently. Yes, he had a good season last season because Raul Jimenez is a good striker that can get his head on the ball, but this season he has showed that he is a terrible winger, terrible player, that Tony Pulis is brought about, and he is to be hated for that. Barcelona rejected him, rightfully so. If they ever brought him back, I would be disgusted. It'd be like that time De La Fey was sold by Barcelona, brought back to play reserve football, and then let go again. It would be pointless. Adama Traore does not deserve praise, despite the fact that he scored a wonderful goal today. That's my piece on Adama Traore. I will hear nothing else. 2 goals, 2 assists all season. Shocking.
Very, very passionate from Mr. Luke Sherwin. Interestingly, another fun stat for you all. Lewis Dunk is the only player in the Premier League to be sent off more than once this season. There you go. You're welcome.
He's also the third player to score and get sent off in a game this season, Joe.
Yes,
there you go. StattoJoe over here.
If you want more stats, only Chelsea, Liverpool, United have got more points in the last 5 games than Newcastle. Just want to point that out. Just want to let you know that
sorry, Joe, we only actually care about relevant stats. So we're going to ignore that one.
I wanted everyone to hear it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's the kind of the Premier League wrapped up. However, while the title race is over in England, I'll tell you right now, the title race is not over in Espanyol, España, however you say it.
Yeah, Espanyol are just the team in Spain.
It's not over there either. But look, you are the resident La Liga expert. Chat everybody through what's going on there, because it is kind of nuts. It is mental over there. It really is.
It really is kind of nuts, especially considering the fact that Sevilla are currently beating Real Madrid, which just adds to the fact. So obviously, if you're listening on Monday as a podcast, this will be, weird to listen to. But if you're here live right now, this is chaos, because what this means is currently, Real Madrid are losing. They had a chance tonight. It's 1-0 at halftime. They had a chance tonight to go top of the table with a win. They've got 45 minutes to get 2 goals to turn that around. Atletico Madrid are top on 77 points. 3 games to go. Barcelona are second. 75 points. 3 games to go. Real Madrid are currently third on 74 points. So 1 behind Barca, 3 behind Atletico, with 3 games to go. And Sevilla are now on 73 points if the result stays the same. This title race is ridiculous. There's a good gap then between 4th and 5th. But with 3 games to go, there's 4 points potentially separating the top 4. But what makes the La Liga interesting is that it doesn't go down to goal difference. Barcelona's goal difference is 47. Bigger, much bigger than the rest. But it goes down to head-to-head. Which I kind of like. I kind of like it, because it means Real Madrid, if Real Madrid were to win tonight, they go on 77 points, but they would be top of the league, even with less goal difference than Atletico Madrid, because their head-to-head record this season is better. If it came down to Real Madrid and Barca, Real Madrid would be top of the league because they beat Barcelona twice in La Liga. It's disgusting. It is exciting though. It's really exciting. Yesterday we saw Barcelona against Atletico Madrid, a game that was potentially going to decide the title. A draw favoured Real Madrid big time. A win for Barca would put them top. A win for Atletico Madrid puts them a few points clear of Barca and really helps them with their race against Real Madrid. What happened was an entertaining game, a game in which Jan Oblak played very well, a game in which Ter Stegen did a thorough job, game in which Messi tried to orchestrate things, but Griezmann didn't look lively. Pedri played a bad game. De Jong had to go back because Busquets got injured. Neither wing back for Barca really got into it. It wasn't a great performance. Suarez had an okay game for Atletico. It was a tense game though. There was a few chances towards the end that could have changed the game. Ultimately, finished 0-0, meaning that's how the table stands at the moment. If Real Madrid and Sevilla finish the way that it is currently, the title race is crazy. The title race it has been all season. Atletico were 12 points clear at one stage. The fact that they're not champions yet is ridiculous. But it is an exciting league right now to be watching. Real Madrid arguably have the hardest run-in out of the big 3. Not ruling Sevilla out, but I'm also ruling Sevilla out. 4 points to make up on Atletico Madrid, I don't think is overly doable. But Barcelona play the likes of Eibar, who aren't great, and Levante, who aren't great. Real Madrid have a tough enough game against the Yellow Submarines, the world's most average team in the Europa League, Villarreal, but not an easy game, as Arsenal found out midweek. So if you want to watch some really exciting football, check out La Liga for 3 games left in the season. Some really interesting ties, some twists and turns are guaranteed because this season has been chaotic, but a really good league to be watching at the moment. Very like France as well, but I'm not as much of an expert on that. But
So
fair play to Lille.
I've just looked up Liga while you were talking about La Liga because I thought it's pretty similar over there. Let me give you a live update right now.
Great.
So PSG are currently playing. It's half time. They're playing Rennes. It's 0-0. If the game stays 0-0, oh wait, they've just scored. They've literally just scored. Wow, that's so sad. Like they've honestly, I'm not even lying. They've literally just scored there now. Who scored? Neymar scored a penalty on the 45th plus 6 minute. So anyway, even if it stays 1-0 to PSG, Lille are top with two games to go for everyone. Lille are top on 79 points. PSG are second on 78 points. Monaco are third with 74 points. And Lyon are fourth with 73 points. So, yeah, what we're looking at is a pretty mental run-in. PSG have 2 pretty easy games. Let me just see. Lille have 2 pretty easy games as well. So we could be seeing a Lille win in the league.
We could. Yeah, an interesting one for Lille is obviously they sold Pepe to Arsenal last season for 70 million, replaced him with Victor Osimhen, or however you say his name. They replaced him with him for about 25 million, which looked a good piece of business, and they managed to sell him last summer there for around 70 million again. So Lille have brought in, 115 million in profit just there with their attack force. This season they have Yilmaz has come in on a free transfer and is firing them for the league title. Lille, if they were to win the league, should be heralded as fantastic. They should be applauded for the fact that they've made such a big profit on a few players and managed to beat, money happy people. It would be a very impressive feat for Lille. Pochettino hasn't done a great job there. It would be poor from him, not league. But also shouldn't be looked at too much because he hasn't been there for the full season, obviously. Next season will be a lot more interesting to see what happens there.
So there was your European roundup. You're welcome. Just thought it was good to highlight that because whilst the kind of league's dead, well, not dead, but it's pretty much sorted here. There's some unbelievable, I don't think we've ever seen title races quite like it. And then last time we saw that was when City and Liverpool went right down to the final day 2 years ago. So just want to highlight that. But that is our Sunday show. What a great time, as always, to be chatting all about the football. This week, the midweek show's on Thursday because there's so much football on that we have to wait until Liverpool play United, if they do play United, because apparently the fans are going to protest again. So that'll be interesting. But look, thank you for joining me. Thank you for getting me through this Sunday evening and chatting all about football.
My absolute pleasure. It's been great to chat football. Hopefully everybody listening has enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow on all the lovely social medias. Check out the podcast on all podcast platforms. And yeah, it's been a pleasure, guys. Comment, send us messages on Twitter, not DMs. That's weird. Send just like
tweet us.
Tweet us. That's the word.
Tweet me at StattoJoe with anything you want to hear, or Instagram, whatever. I don't know what you want to do, but we would love to hear from you because at the end of the day, we want this to be an interactive show. And as I've mentioned the podcast before as well, if you want to go to the podcast pages, give us a 5-star rating on Apple, follow us on Spotify, and get your questions in for the mailbag because that's the most relaxed part of the shows where we just sit and answer your questions. But we really appreciate the support so far. This is our wee baby, and it's going to keep hopefully growing. Plenty of reactions, and who knows, might even go live during the Champions League final. So
we might do. That would be exciting, but we'll see. It's been a pleasure, guys. Maybe in 9 months' time, we'll birth something exciting. But who knows? It's been great, Joe. For some reason, Google over here, my Google Home thing has decided to pick up on you, but it's been a pleasure. We'll go see what he's after over here, and we'll chat to you guys on Thursday night. See you there.
Perfect. See you there. Straight after the United game, 10:15 or something. We'll be live. So see you then. Bye, guys.